Good morning. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, I have my coffee and you have your coffee. And she finally definitely has her coffee. But where's the music? Okay, give us a second. We'll be right back. Welcome. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. And today I have my friend Amber Mirza, one of my favorite people on the planet right now, because she and I have this really great time talking about the subject we're going to be talking about today. I want to let you know this is brought to you by Metadime Digital Network. We go live, the Coffee Break Show. Yes, I know it's gone down to once a week, but you'll live, I'll live, we'll live, and we're going to have fun today. And I just want to say, welcome, my friend. I'm so glad that you finally made it to the Coffee Break Show. I don't know what took us so long, but welcome aboard. I'm so glad you're here today.
When we meet, when we're doing it, is the perfect time to do it. So I'm so glad to be here. I've been looking forward to it because I'm like, Vickie and I talking about a subject we both love so much. It's going to be so dang fun.
Yes. And I want to let you know, wherever you're watching, whether it's or listening, if you're listening on Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are, if you're on Roku TV, if you're on Amazon TV, welcome to the show today. Today is going to be a really important topic because this subject is gaining momentum around the world, and that is conscious business. I'm going to just talk about Amber because Amber won't talk about herself, so I get to do it. Amber is an entrepreneur, and what I love about that, she's also the show host of Conscious Business Talks, but she's also an activist, somebody that is and I see y'all coming on right now. I just want to say good morning and hello. Look who got up at the crack of dawn from across the country. Hello, my favorite people. By the way, Larissa, we just want you to know you two are our favorite people. We're so glad you're here. Look at who's here. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. I love you, Karen. Thank you for being here. Oh God, my heart melts when I see your name pop up, my friend. And of course, one of my favorite people on the planet. Yay, so happy to see you, Amber. It's going to be a fun conversation. Yes, it is. We're going to be talking about it. There's nothing better than being introduced by Vickie Helm. She's amazing. Okay, well, thank you. That was, that was sweet. 100%. Thank you. So, one of the things I like about your entrepreneurship is that it's an activist. One of the things that I love about how you think is that it is absolutely 110% mutually beneficial. And today we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of business. But more than that, we're going to be talking about the future of business and the future of leadership and the future of where things are going. Welcome to the Coffee Break Show. And I'm going to just dig in. I want to know how you even got to the point where conscious business became your thing. Good morning and a happy Wednesday to all. Welcome, Amber. So glad to see you on. Amber is amazing and I love her. Yes, that I do too. So we are rocking and rolling today, and feedback for Karen. Hugging you, missing you, darling. Yeah, miss you so much. Sometime we're going to chat this week, Karen. So I want to go and say, how did this happen to you? How did you get... What was your trigger point, and how was it that you got started on this journey into conscious business?
I think it was, it's always been people, right? For me, It's always been about people. And the funny thing is that anytime somebody was asking me, what do you want? Everything that was coming up for me was about, centered around the people who are important in my life. And they weren't just even people in my family and my friend circle. They were people that, I was trying to solve, find some awesome solutions for, or just even kind of, met. And I think people are freaking awesome, right? The potential, the power, the abilities, just everybody has something unique about them. And I get teased a lot about my big giant rose-colored glasses, but it's true. I see people how they can be, not necessarily how they're being at the moment, right? And that is such when I see that, it just brings a whole different light to the situation, right? And it's kind of funny because people were asking, okay, what do you want? And it was always centered about people. And then I got to thinking, okay, I went through business school and everything, and you learn the concepts, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and the foundations, the strategies, the tactics, all of that good stuff which you need. But there was always this thing about, okay, our responsibility is to our shareholders. And I'm like, yeah, but the people I'm talking to, they're also shareholders, right? They're trusting us with their time, their money, their life, because whatever we are providing, that's at stake. So this exchange has to be more meaningful. This exchange has to be more balanced. And even though I didn't at first consciously realize that that's what I was doing, I was bringing more of a balance to each of the transactions. And even in my corporate career, it's the funniest thing, because I would have my A's and O's, all the things that I was supposed to do. But the true business style, like entrepreneurial, full steam ahead kind of thing, I was always negotiating how I would conduct that container, that space where my clients were, right? And I'm like, give me my A's and O's and then leave me alone as to how I actually get to them, right? And it was it was actually so cool, because I had the most amazing relationships with my clients. Like, if I took time off, and sometimes I would take a couple of years off, right, and go do whatever, and they would come back, and it was unheard of in the industry, right? And they would follow me from one corner of the city to like the other corner. And again, most people who were consultants or advisors would have to build their book again. My book just grew, and it was beneficial for my employer. It was beneficial for my clients. And I had a diverse group of people that I was looking at saying, okay, wow, this is, and they would refer people. So it just kept growing, right? And I'm like, okay. And it's funny, one of the executives that, met, and they were like, we don't know what you do, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it just works. We'll just leave you alone. So, the widget counting thing, it just didn't apply to me, which was super cool. But, then as you try to take out the process, like, what is it that's actually here, right? It was the thought that it's not even just a win-win. It's literally a win-win-win-win-win, right? Because there are multiple stakeholders and all of that. And then I'm such a nerd, so I was always reading about what's cool, what are some of the people that I respect are doing. And bit by bit, this idea, I thought I was putting it all together. Hey, me, right? And then I realized that no, there are awesome people who are already doing it, and they're doing it so amazingly. And it was just this beautiful, awesome, rich world just opened up. And I'm like, okay, give me more, give me more, give me more. Because whatever you bring in, it's not competition. It becomes an awesome partnership and collaboration. Why would I be threatened by you doing awesome stuff? Bring it so my guys can benefit more, right? So
and I want to stop right there, because I think that is the key to conscious business. There is a deep mindset shift that you're just talking about right now that I think is so important. It's the difference between cooperation and collaboration, and that the mindset is everything can win-win, 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 win-win-win. That's the important thing. There sometimes people get to the point where they think, this is the most money I'll ever make. This is the most money I'll ever have. And you have to stop yourself from saying those things to you and realize that absolutely everything, that philosophy that's coming out of you. And, Karen set it up earlier. You take care of your people and the profits will come. You left for 2 years, and you came back and boom. It's interesting too, Amber, because I have in my consulting firm, my average client stays with me 5.5 years, which is just past where they absolutely are safe and out of the zone of possibly going under. And when you have that kind of love and credibility with your client, and they see you as not just a trusted advisor, but somebody they're going to go back to again and again and again and again, there's the point where you are absolutely changing how business is done today, changing how people interact. And I wanted to stop by what you were saying. I want to continue the conversation, but that is important. That one single mindset shift, that's what's happening right now. You left off it. Bring it on. Why wouldn't I want to do? You're 10xing everything or 100xing everything. But what does it mean in a global market? Let's just dive right in. What does it mean in a global market when you have that attitude? Because the concept of competing countries is also there. What if that concept of competing countries and collaborating countries is the future of business as well? I'm not sure who this is, but thank you for being here. Good morning, Vickie, and welcome, Amber. It could be Ryan. It could be, I don't know who this is. It could be Ross. It could be anybody, but we're having fun. So let's do it anyway.
Well, the mystery is there, right? We can just guess as to who it
is. Yeah.
And, that's such an important point that you bring up, because it's within an economy, within a country, within your little geographical spot, you can always kind of think of, oh my gosh, who else is doing what I'm doing? And is this a threat to me, right? But now you bring on global implications of that. And that has been like, take a look around. There is so much fear, right? That's around that. Oh my gosh, that country is going to take our jobs. And that country is like literally trying to take our markets. And we're losing out if we don't put bars around things, right? And that's always been of interest to me, because even when
it's
Lori
like
Sunflower.
It was Lori Sunflower, who's a really good friend of mine. She is also my professional photographer who takes all the book cover and magazine photos, everything else. That's her. And I'm just acknowledging that she's the one who made that statement to say good morning to us. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. And, even through business school, one of the things that we were learning about were, all these different types of systems, and how, there can be free trade and there could be open markets and so on. But the application of that in the real world is not that easy, right? Because now we're talking about different currency, we're talking about different markets, we're talking about different corporations, mindsets, governments, and so on, right? But when I think about it from a conscious point of view, to me, it becomes, and the world has opened up so much, right? Now you're talking to people in, like I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're in design thinking, right? So human-based design, like it's this amazing concept that, okay, now let's bring the focus to where it needs to be. And they were talking to people in Hyderabad, and they were talking to people in South Africa, and it was a truly collaborative team. And I thought to myself,
beautiful,
the most amazing like setup. Now you're talking to people, because just basically where you grow up, what your environment is, it colors your perception. Yes, you may add to it and enrich it and open it and expand it, but there are nuances of differences that can bring into the mix a rich contribution that would not have been there other than that person's unique experience, right?
Yes,
so when you start thinking about it more consciously, now you're not thinking about the differences in a negative way. You're thinking about the differences in a positive, like what can this add that gives us a leg up to make even better value for everybody concerned, right? For our clients, for our shareholders, right? For our for our suppliers. Like, what are we doing? What is the team members? Like, how amazing it is to learn from each other and actually have our boundaries expanded.
Yes, I know. It's so interesting that you're saying that, because a lot of people get paranoid about sharing what they know. They think it's hard won and it's hard earned, etc. And it is. I'm not going to lie about that. That's really hard. But when we share it together and everybody thrives or benefits, we let go of the ego piece that like thinks it's mine and we can't share it. Robin says it really is global and it has to be collaborative, because we rely on others to add to the whole, whatever the project is. It is. Genius comes from everywhere around the world now. And what's interesting is in the process right now, we are noticing that we have systems from the past that are slowing down, being run down, being attacked because of the thought of ownership, or the thought of somebody has everything and we have nothing. When in fact, if we come together and remove that mindset. Now, what I'm looking at here with Amber is business is about the time that the business is transforming right now like never before. It's not just currency. We have now global currencies, digital currencies are coming up. It's just not talent. Like here's American talent and here's British talent and here's Australian talent. It's just talent now, and it's everywhere, all over the world. The most important thing we can do is share that mindset and create. And I want to talk about creating mutually beneficial projects and creating mutually beneficial ways that how does someone create the win-win, win-win, win-win so that happens? What things do they need to look at? I'm also hearing feedback as well. But we're still, there's feedback really there. Do you hear that bouncing feedback? Nope. I'm hearing it again. I'm hearing an echo. There we go. Anyway, I want that question answered, and we're just going to push through the echo right now. Look at that. Here it is. I dream about the world that all boundaries dissolved. Yes. What if we saw ourselves as one people? What would happen if we just said we all live on this one house called the earth and we're all one people?
I think, okay, sorry. I was trying to see if it was something on my end. So I'm going to move right back into the flow of the conversation that we had. We are one people, right? I don't even remember where I was, but there is this one statement by somebody. I could have been at the Kennedy Space Center, because when I first came to North America and I was exploring, and thanks to Matt, he took me to all these cool places. I don't even remember who said that, but it was the coolest thing. They said, there is only one race, the human race. Everything else is geography, right? And it stayed with me that we get hung up on the differences of, the color or the location or the boundaries that we have made, but it really is one big house, right? But which one of us, like all of us, have stories where people that we have dealt with perhaps aren't on the same wavelength of that mindset, so they have taken things and then sort of the exchange hasn't been with that open mindset, so people have gotten burned, right? But where I look at it is, at the end of the day, nobody has taken anything from you, right? Because even if they take every single thing you have said and they go and plaster it all over their stuff and they sell it to their clients, they're still going to sell it from their perspective. They're going to introduce it from their perspective.
Yes, that's correct.
And you are still you, right? So what it comes down to it is, when you bring in that generosity of spirit and that it's cool, like, and this is where conscious business really for me is the future, right? Where you are treating people on your team. I had somebody say, well, I train, what if I train everybody in this thing and then they take it and they go work for somebody else, right? But then where is the foundation? Where is that foundation, what they're buying into? Right? Yeah. I am into team members where really, I think I introduced it on the Conscious Business Talks, one of the shows, that it becomes a team. Like, when you have a team, you have these amazing star players in the team, but everybody has one goal. They're not like, and you see that when they start playing for their position only, the whole thing collapses. They are not winning that game, right?
That's
but
right.
When they come together for that one goal, irrespective of how decorated, awarded, commented, whatever it is, how awesome they are in their individual rights, they have all one goal. But that's what I truly think that's how a truly conscious business team is, right? Each role has its own unique objectives, and they're doing things, but the common goal is shared. And if you truly are buying into that common goal, if it's resonating with you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm working on this with you, then that with you is important, right? Because then they're invested. To me, it's a mini movement within that organization, right?
That's
How
right.
cool is that now everybody's working towards it?
And I want to stop and say something about that, because I think this is important in any kind of business. I'm hearing that echo. I'm sorry if you guys hear the echo there. But one of the most important things about conscious business or consciousness in business is when your team is unified, it becomes an attractor field to the goal that it is pursuing. Each person inside that attractor field is attracting opportunities, inner genius, skill sets that help that if we bump into an obstacle, somebody in this team right here with that attractor field is going to have the answer. It's going to be able to move through that obstacle, move past that obstacle, create a auspicious coincidence or something that is going to move it forward. When a team comes together in your business and you're conscious about your business and you have consciousness inside your business, then you will know that the people that showed up, they're supposed to be there. This is part of the consciousness. I mean, this is the truth right here. There are 8 billion people on the planet right now, 8 billion people. And I'm looking at Amber, and Amber's looking at me. And the chances that Amber and I are meeting to have this discussion is 1 in 8 billion. Think about that. That's like a grain of sand on the beach. You think this is like some accident? The thing that is there about conscious business and consciousness in business is, and I love this. This is what I want to say. I heard Larissa Vacolina talk about creating consciousness and groundedness in a team of people who came to her healing center, her Ascara, to do some work. And before they did anything, she would gather them and they would create the intention with that goal, etc. And she realized that when she got them together, and they all did this every morning before they work, they set the intention, they did this, etc. And she saved a boatload of money. She had better productivity. She had happier people. This is the point of what you just said when you said, I have teams, I have a team. And being able to be conscious in that piece of your business is so, so important. And I don't want to pass by it. It's powerful to hear people talk about, can your business have an attractor field? Well, of course it does.
But that also brings us to the core of the business itself too, right? The entrepreneur who's at the center of that business, right? And that's where, it's, this has been a journey for me where I'll speak for myself. I get so into things that those things are where I'm pouring myself into and into the people and everything, right? And a lot of times I forget about me, right? But it was a lesson learned. Logically I knew, and I was hearing from amazing friends and wise people and even mentors that I was hearing, you gotta pour in to pour out, right? All of that thing. And it was like, yes, but when I would get into the thick of things, it was always, and that brought me that the entrepreneur at the center of it has to be responsible and accountable to themselves for their own growth, for their mindset, because they're the ones who are radiating out what happens in the organization, right?
Yeah.
Your team is tied to you. Your clients are tied to you. Your anybody who interacts with your business is tied to you. And that organization is an extension of you at that point, right? All of your, to me, it's this amazing ecosystem, right, within a bigger ecosystem.
That's right.
And so that accountability to yourself, to know that I have to be responsible for my growth and my care, and that is something that I cannot delegate to somebody else.
That's correct. Perhaps a personal trainer, but after that. Larissa, yes, that was such a great experience, which brought so many benefits. I agree with that. But the most important thing about that she's talking about now, when I talk about being the leader of a business and being in that leadership role in a business, that is wicked important when you talk about self-care. Because if you look at a business as a unit, as a thing, if you understand the power of the attractor field inside your business, and people think, oh, the law of attraction only works for individuals. No, you understand that when you even get married or you step into a relationship, your energy field becomes one. It's like H2O. There's these two separate entities. There's the H and the 2O, and by themselves, they're whole and individuated. But when they come together, they make something completely different, something completely unique, and that's water. Without those two molecules doing their thing, there is no water, right? So there is individuation, which is I am this and I am this. And when you come together, you create something completely new. It's the same when you hire employees. It's the same with your group of friends when you're out and about. That's an attractor field. But in your business, that same coming together means that the leader of the business, that person who is attracting the employees to them, attracting the mission to them, that self-care means you want to keep that resonance as high as you can get it. Yes. So in that being high and that self-care, what are one of the things, let's say three things. Let's talk about some of the three things entrepreneurs don't do. And I know Larissa's probably biting at her teeth. Yes, I do. I noticed right now that my internet connection is weak. It'll be back up in a minute. Meanwhile, I'll be a blurry face for a little bit. So anyway, what happens is you get to the point where let's name three things right now that we can do to help focus as a leader on having some self-care so that you're not crashing and burning and taking out your attractor field. Because I think if the leader takes out their attractor field, they're going to take out everyone else's attractor field as well.
Oh my gosh, so true. And see, like I said, this is very much like I'm not even going to pretend that I've got it perfected. It's a work in progress, but I think by necessity, because as things evolve, as I grow even more, there are other things that I learn and I introduce into what I'm doing, right? Yeah. So one of the things that helped me amazingly was a routine, like a morning routine, because before I felt like I was hitting the floor running, right? And it wasn't really like I was getting stuff done, but it was also depleting, right? And so once I started putting in place that, yes, I'm just going to have this routine where I have a portion where I meditate, where I don't even open my eyes right away. I kind of think about all of the things, it's just, I found it was reverse engineering, actually. I didn't even realize I was doing it. But what I realized was somebody said to me, oh, I bet that's, really heavy when you wake up. And I'm like, actually, I wake up with a smile on my face, and the first thing is, how cool is it? I get to have another day to play, right? Yes. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if I'm doing that, I kind of like doing that, so I'll keep doing that. And I was like, so some things were in place unconsciously, but I brought them more to the fore consciously.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And then I found that a little bit of time to kind of connect with I like reading, so a little bit of reading. I remember going through how Elrod has a morning routine, right? And a few guys that are in the biohacking field that I was helping, they had a morning routine. I'm like, what the heck is this morning routine thing? So I looked into that and I'm like, okay, I'll adapt it to something that works for me. So that is there, right? Sleep has been a challenge for me. When I sleep, I sleep.
Most entrepreneurs.
Getting to bed is a thing. So I have an amazing friend who, believe it or not, okay, this is a little embarrassing, but it's true. She sets an alarm on her phone and she literally pings me, you best get your butt up to bed. And that happened.
Now that's a friend.
Right. But that, that's another thing. And then also I found that I get busy working and I just work through, right? And so if I have a block of time carved for doing something, I'm just in and doing it. Yep. But what I found was that if I put on my calendar or an alarm, like an hourly 5-minute break just to get up and stretch, it somehow reroutes things and refreshes it, right?
Beautiful.
So those are the three things right off the top of my head that I would say I have found to be really helpful in getting myself centered and not feeling, because some days are everything is flowing and some days are a little bit more challenging, like especially with things that are maybe happening around you in your personal life, and you're kind of like, so how do you recharge is another thing that comes up for me, right? How do you recharge your battery so you're then able to go and put your focus in a creative way on things that you're supposed to, right?
Yes, I think some of the most important things that you just said, and I want to talk about this because when I did this, so much changed for me, and I am married to the routine. But what I found from my own self-care is as you guys know, because most of y'all are listening or et cetera, I'm very outgoing. I am definitely not an introvert. I am definitely an extrovert. But the thing is, when an extrovert wakes up, they understand the importance of alone time. And that alone time with just me, I have to have it every day. I have a routine where I get up in the morning. And in that morning, I do that same routine. The first thing I get is my alone time, my center time, etc. That's the first thing, without a doubt. And in the last almost a decade that I've been doing that, my productivity has been, you think if I take time away over here to take care of me, my productivity will drop, but it's the opposite. It just jacked up really well. And I thought what you said was so important. Lori Sunflower says, oh my God, I totally get that. Back when I quit IBM in 2008 to do my photography full time, I would spend hours diving into pictures. That's really true. And I've never seen anybody take 1,000 pictures faster than her. It's like, it's unbelievable. Creating, learning, and printing. And I would often stay up till around 6 a.m. working on all that stuff. And the time just flew by. And then I'd sleep really hard till noon or 2. And, that's the other thing. I protect my creative hours. So, protecting your creative hours, just like you said, that routine, those things, they help keep you there. But I want to talk about this one thing, Amber, that you mentioned, and it's sleep. The sleep thing was something that I had to, and I should say but it's really Robin. That friend that used to beep you and you better get your butt up to bed? Robin came out one day because we were both exhausted. I mean, we both, at one point we had 4 companies we were running, and, it was absolutely insane. And so she sat down and she said she could feel the burnout happening. I'm different. I am completely in love with what I do. If I feel the burnout, I ignore it.
Yes.
And that's when she was, nope, we're stopping the ignoring this right now. When you love what you do, you still have to take care of you. When you feel love, yes, love is a higher vibration and it'll have a tendency to take care of some things, but you still need food and you still need sleep. You still need to bathe. You still need to go out and play. You have to have those things in place. And we think because we're doing something in love, when we're in love, that we can ignore our self-care because love is self-care. Wrong. It's exactly what Amber said. In spite of the fact that you're in love with what you do and you're in love with who you're working with and you're in love with your project, you still have to have self-care. And Robin, I want to thank you for that, because I have more joy when I work in this way with a lot of self-care, and my productivity is higher. Then we have feedback. But yeah, you know what I mean? It's you understand what I'm saying? It's like we fall in love with it and then we think we don't need to rest. What are we thinking?
And I'm so stoked that you use that word love, right? Because I always say I'm in love with my clients, right? I love my friends, I love my family, but I fall in love with my clients, right? And but then you're like, oh, okay, this is what, but absolutely right. This was where I was ignoring, anything else, any depletion. And my mom would sometimes chase me. She's like, "Did you eat?" And the marker was that when I started feeling shaking, I knew that I hadn't eaten. That
Yeah.
was that bad, right? I'm like,
Yep.
why am I shaking? Oh wait, did I eat today? And I was like, how? Like, and I love food. This is the mystery of it. I love food. I love the taste and the texture, but when I get pouring into stuff, I would just completely forget it.
Forget.
So now I'm more cognizant of, okay, did I do that? And so just, setting yourself little triggers so you'll, yeah.
I gotta say, Robin was like that with me, because what happens is I'll work and work and work and work and work and work. And when my blood sugar drops, I get a little bit snippy. And some snippy, well, it'll start out snippy, and then, that hangry that comes up. What happens for me, though, is my ability to focus and concentrate gets weaker, and I get short. And she will look at me and say, when's the last time you ate something? And I see you there. Thank you. I know you love me in spite of myself. Um, but so when's the last time you ate something? And she's like, you need to eat something right now. It's not just bike riding. It's when I'm working as well. It's that forgetful thing that we forget to put ourselves first. I want to talk about something that I think is super important. I'm wondering, can you mute yourself for a second? I have to see if it's this. Great. Thank you very much. You're going to have to go on and off with that when I ask questions, because there's no feedback now. Thank you for that. That's very kind. I want to go talk about consciousness in business, because we know conscious business is people, planet, and profits. And consciousness in business is attitude, attention, and focus. Attitude, attention, and focus. So attitude is about how you treat your people. It's about, the attractor field at your work. If you have an attractor field at work that is in angst, your profits will mirror that angst, or your lack of profits will mirror that angst. But let's say you have a team where there's one bad apple on the team, and it's an attitude apple. It's the attitude apple. And maybe the team member is a bad attitude in that day. As a leader in that day, they come in and they're not with it. They're not with the team. They're not. What do we do to create balance, to create synergy, to create that resonance that we need to get effective productivity? What are some of the things as a leader, as the owner of the business, that you can do that will help you do that will help you gain that kind of balance?
What I have found from my experience is that, first of all, you have to have a place where you make the space to just listen, right?
Yeah.
And when people know that they don't have to hide what's affecting their ability to serve. And we all have pockets where we kind of need to kind of say, okay, this is happening, but this is what I am now doing. And sometimes for me, that's also a place of escape, right? Because I'm now able to distance it, but this is where I do have an ability to do something. This may be something I cannot affect right now. I can only affect certain parts of it, but this is where, I also found that there are times when you literally just need somebody to understand what's happening in your world, right? So I'm glad that you kind of differentiated that it's an attitude thing and not necessarily a fit thing, right? Because sometimes what I find is that so say, for example, in a merger situation, right? This happens that you have people and you're like, oh, they're just not a fit. But sometimes a person is not a fit in a particular role. But before you say bye-bye, why not try to see what their real gifts are, and maybe another role will fit, right? But if it's an attitude thing, then again, what you were talking about, resonance and attractor field, right? people will self-identify and they kind of stand out if they're not a fit on an ongoing basis, in which case you're not serving them or yourself or your other team members by having them stay in for the sake of a paycheck, right? At that point, I think that, again, by just listening, being present for them, because they're also human, they're not being fulfilled in that position if that is showing up in their attitude, right? So having that safe space where they're able to then communicate with you and you with them to kind of say, let me release you to go do what you do best. It's not a firing. Let's figure out where the fit is, right? And with that, they most of the time, they will also realize that, hey, I don't want to be coming and just watching the clock to see when I can leave. I would rather be somewhere where I can't wait to get to work because look at the stuff I get to create and contribute to, right? But that just listening thing, that is something you develop and you are attentive to and you consciously cultivate within an organization, right? Because it's just not natural. Even for myself, I'm like, oh, I'm all that and more, right? And then it was so funny because I was in an organization and I was like, oh, okay, this, and then I'm like, wait, I just jumped into helping. Let me understand the situation better, and how do I do that other than sitting back and getting it, right?
Did you guys just hear that? Did you just hear that? I just jumped into helping and I need to pull back and go to the understanding. Amber, that I think is such a powerful statement because we're taking a look at the way work is going to be shifting. And to me, there's going to be AI and robotics and software that is replacing the human worker. And what is missing now is a sense of meaning, because the human worker is going to be replaced by robotics. It's just going to do its thing. Having a sense of meaning in your business when you hire people and you have them on, and you have a sense of understanding about their what they want from working with you, which is not just a paycheck, but some sort of direction, some purpose, some meaning, something that's fulfilling for their life. They're giving you their precious time. What are they getting in return in that way? And I think the focus of absolutely sitting back and understanding and listening mindfully, not just listening, just like, okay, I'll hear you talk and I'm going to do what I want anyway. When we listen mindfully and we can extract their genius with them, they're participating in the creation of the energy field of that business, that attractor field of that business. That is having skin in the game. That gives somebody a sense of meaning. I want to pop over here because Larissa, you are just the bomb. This girl should be here. Listening consciously is to receive a person in its wholeness. Yes. Now, and it's like there's a new leadership happening. There is a new type of leader being born, and the future of business is going to be conscious business, but consciousness in business. The new leader is that one that's going to have consciousness in business. And I want to talk about your activist part of you, where you've created a show, the Conscious Business Talks, which I love. And this is why you're here. I love your show. And I love what you've stepped out in the world to do in the activist way. You look at this. Thank you, Larissa, for this. Evolved leadership emerging. I love them. Yes, me too. And I am purposely surrounding myself with these types of leaders, because the things they are creating in the world to better help the world, to make a difference in the world, is absolutely stunning. But here's part of the activism I want to talk about. We're just going to go into the woo-woo right now. Spirituality and business, they have always been pulled apart as here's spirituality and here's business, and never the two shall meet. And the actuality is that spirituality and business are the vehicle, and it's the change that is happening right now. And I want to go into the activist part of your, conscious business talks, and let's move a little bit into the woo-woo pieces of the conversation. You up for that? She's like, oh my God, Vickie, why are you doing this? Because I can. So,
So conscious business talks was born out of the awareness that I was, it was so out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
For a person, who does not, like, I always had that story that I make rock stars. I don't need to be one, right? And you take the limelight because that's the role that you've got. I'll just shine it on you. All the stuff that I was, telling other people about, helping their campaigns, all that, not so much for me. Don't even have a social media presence or a website because, hey, yay, I'm pretty good, right? And then this pandemic thing started, right? And also the conversations that I was having where so many people were still talking about, well, we don't understand what you're talking about because the sole reason a business exists is to make money. And I'm like, I agree, but I disagree because there is an added layer you guys are missing. And I think it's even more powerful when you step into it. And I truly believe that, and as entrepreneurs, we have such power, and with power is the responsibility to, because we can we see it, we impact lives.
That's right.
It doesn't, through your business, you're bringing into creation something that didn't exist before in the way you're presenting it, and now other people can actually, like, I see lives changing based on what we do, right? It doesn't matter what your thing is, whatever your thing is, if you're pouring yourself into it and you're invested in it, you are there for a reason, and you have the guts and the courage to pursue it. So we have incredible power to impact things positively around us. So when I was looking at that, I'm like, oh man, that's such a limited, like, we're caging ourselves by thinking the only reason a business exists is to make money, because at what cost was the next question that popped into my head.
That's right.
And so I'm like, okay, done hiding. So what's the biggest way that I can literally shatter that cage I have put around myself? And that was having a show, because you can't flipping hide every week. I'm going and talking, right? Literally can't hide. So that's where conscious business talks, came into being. And in terms of spirituality, the funny thing is that every person has their own way of reflecting that spirituality, right? For me, spirituality isn't about holding a book up and thumping it really hard and making sure everybody sees it and and if that's you, that's awesome, but it just wasn't me, right? For me, spirituality was actually being who you're feeling, like when it feels right, when you feel connected, you cannot help but be and reflect that, right? And if it's reflecting through your life, your business is part of your life. I'm not of the mindset and the belief that your business, when your business takes over your life, that's when you actually come to me. I'll help you fix that. Because your business is such an important part of your life, but it's still a part of your life. So if you are being who you are, then your spirituality is reflecting through everything you do, if you are in resonance with it, right?
Absolutely.
So your business cannot help but reflect that. And when you do that, when you are at the center radiating what your values, your stance, your purpose is through your business, then frankly, how do you separate spirituality from business, right? You're not thumping anything. You're not holding up a book that this is my thing. You are being who you are, but the values that your organization takes on and the filters that your decision making is now going through, it just automatically is.
Yes.
Right?
That's right. There can actually, this is so interesting because, Wayne Dyer, who I absolutely love, was, first book I ever read on spirituality. He talks about how we are spiritual beings having a human existence. So no matter what you do, there is spirituality in everything that you do, because that fundamental aspect is who you are. That's the foundation of who you are. Everything you touch, everything you do, everything place you go. And that's part of the acceptance of doing business and having a spiritual business. Now, having a spiritual business doesn't always mean that you're a healer or a Reiki master or a tarot reader or a medium. That's not the only spiritual business there. Spirituality in business means paying attention to the resonance, the frequency, the message, the tone, the quality of the product you're putting out. I want to interrupt for a second. Robin, would you do me a favor and get Conscious Business Talks link? Put it down below. We got people who want to follow and watch Amber's show. I will let you know it's Thursday at 6:30 my time, Lori. So it's 6:30 your time. That's when I watch it. And I absolutely watch it as many times as I can watch it. It's rare that I'm not there because I like the show so much. And I think it's such a powerful show to be on. But it speaks to my heart. And I want to let you know, okay, here's another try on my phone. Here's Amber's show link, Thursday, 6:30 Mountain Daylight Time. So 8:30 East Coast, 5:30 West Coast. Facebook.com Conscious Business Talks. That's the live show, Facebook. And you can also just type Amber Mirza in, Mirza, Amber Mirza, and she'll pop the Conscious Business Talks. It'll pop up there. But go join that. Hit that link and be part of the conversation, especially if you are looking for what's going to be happening in the future in business. You want to be ahead of the game, not just innovatively, but spiritually as well. The other thing is, if you want to gather with a group of like-minded people, Conscious Business Talks is that conversation. It's that like-minded group of people that are heading forward out into the world, doing the things and changing things up, how business is done. I want to talk about the consumer now. I want to talk about how conscious our consumers are becoming and how they're not falling for that bro marketing that's happening right now, that hustle and grind and FOMO and all the things that you see that are going to help you, 10x your profits or things like that. Most people think that spiritual businesses can't be as profitable as other businesses. And I call BS on that right now. And I'm saying BS, but I'm thinking the full word in my head. And I want to talk about, everybody uses, Newman's Zone as the typical conscious business thing where it's big and it's, profits for people and things like that. Let's talk about profitability, because you think because you're a spiritual business, your profits drop. That's BS as well. And I want to talk about that right now as to profitability and spirituality in business, activism, and consciousness. That's a lot, I know, but I can put you on the spot.
First of all, before I forget, thank you for the link to the show. I would love to welcome more people who this concept resonates with, because I think there is power in community and exchange of ideas, because everything that you're thinking and you're contributing and sharing with me, and vice versa, we just expand the circle even more. And it's on YouTube as well, and it's so wherever. And with Vickie's and Tracy's guidance, it's most likely going to be, actually, I know it's going to be on other places. I'm already considering IGTV, Roku, and so on. But right now, YouTube and Facebook are where it's at. And now coming into, this is so close to my heart, because I hear all the time, oh, it's such a great concept, it's so cute, idealistic, and it's so but it's high level. It can't really apply in the real world, right? Because we got to make money. And it gets me, because it actually makes me laugh, because I'm like, okay, so let's just take pure business, right? Let's talk numbers, because I love numbers. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at your numbers and you're worried about your team doing their thing, because you got to watch over them, and I'm talking about larger business as well as smaller business. I just literally heard from somewhere, it was actually, I don't even watch news, and it was on media. Somebody was talking about, oh, businesses and governments are realizing people can work from home, so now we just need to have monitoring systems to make sure that everybody's doing their work, and then you can these people can continue to work from home. And it made me laugh. I'm like, okay, so now you're going to be, and there are organizations, like I've been working remotely for ages, so I know that there are softwares that let you do that, but it cracks me up because I'm like, actually, it cracks me up in a sad way, right? Because it's like,
distrust is the energy field you're bringing in right now off the bat.
Because I'm like, if you don't trust the people who are on your team, so that
why
now
are they
you
working
have to
for you?
invest your time watching over them, or your managers have to look to make sure all the stuff, reporting of who's doing what, how many clicks, whatever they did, how active. Like, are you flipping kidding me? What? If your team is invested, you see it in the results. You see it in the conversations. You see it in what they're bringing to the table and how excited they are to work on the projects that you're assigning them. And if they're not, let's figure out why and what's the gap. What's causing human beings, by our design, thrive on feeling connected and inspired and energized by what we're bringing on. So what's missing that your team is not, right? So then you got to look within, which is hard.
Yeah. You're the leader.
It's going to come from the leadership. And what kind of organization do you want to set up? But just let's for a moment assume that you have a team, the tale of two teams, right? This team is invested, right? Now you don't have to worry so much about monitoring, less time on actually monitoring and so on. Where is that time going to go on that person who was supposed to be assigned to do something else that's actually creating and contributing to the results, right? So if you don't have that aspect, now you're losing money. You're literally losing money. Your people are not, they're contributing just enough to get that paycheck, so they cannot be faulted for what they're supposed to do, right? Shows up where? In your results, in how what you are actually bringing out that you can exchange for value, which is, i.e., money from somebody else, right? So that's that team. Then here's a team where everybody's invested in the outcome, and they literally, you don't have to monitor jack. Well, I shouldn't say that. There is measurability and metrics and all that. Of course, all of you are looking at that. But you're not having to watchdog your employees, right? Or your team members or your contractors, whoever it is who's in there. And those are the people that are so focused on achieving that mission of that organization that it permeates every role in that organization, which is what a conscious business team is, right? Now, everybody's focused on that. They're looking to not just at the results that you currently targeted, but how to increase that, because they want that mission to succeed. Where does it show? Not just in your revenue, they're also looking at where the leaks are. So it's showing up in your bottom line. How can you possibly help but not be more profitable with a conscious business team? Like, it just blows my mind that people think that idealistically, this is only idealistic. Like, seriously, let's talk numbers.
and yet Oprah is a billionaire because of this philosophy right there. And their team, she doesn't monitor everybody. She's not, hi, let me see absolutely everything. Pop in right here. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. Hit the like button, the bell notification, so that you can watch the Conscious Business Talk Show. It's important because it's going to give you the view and the future of business. And we are moving into this model because we're in the model, actually. And the difference is, are you going to surrender and I don't mean surrender like give up, surrender to what's here now and be present with this, because it is profitable. It does lower turnover rates. It does create more productivity. You do have better ROI. I can attest to that. It is not simply this, conscious business is not simply, oh, what a nice imaginary concept. It's creating 7, 8, 9, 10-figure businesses. If billionaires are being able to do this, if you look at the philosophy of this, just change your mindset. Like, they're all my profits, these are my people, my things. You let go of that ego piece of it and you see it as a heart moving, a consciousness moving. These people were brought to you, brought together to help you shift and move this purpose into the world so that you can impact and make a difference in the world, so that you can win, 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 win. You will find how business, how entrepreneurship, how conscious business is the way forward forever for things out. Amber, first off, you're my friend. I always love talking to you. I really enjoy conversations with you. I love your show. I'm going to always be there. Right here, this is the thing that is connectedness. That's what you and we got going on right there, connectedness. To me, I will always be about bringing this concept of business in. I think love, spirituality, and business are the thing that's coming. There is an old paradigm that is crumbling, crumbling, crumbling. And we spend a lot of media time concentrating on what's crumbling and very little media time on what is being created, what's rolling, what's changing, what's working. And today, this last hour with you about what is working, what does work, how great it feels, that to me has been such an amazing blessing, such an amazing blessing. And I want to thank you for being on the show. Lastly, I have to pop in and say thank you for my new coffee break mug. This was sent to me in the mail by somebody very dear to me. Thank you, Wendy, for this. I love it. One of the cool things about this cup is the coffee is still hot. When it's in the other cup, the coffee is cold by the end of this hour. This, I was like, wow, the coffee is still hot. This is fantastic. Amber, last statement. If you could say anything to the new entrepreneur that's coming up, what would you say to them?
I don't. So here's the thing, right? You know, the things that pop up a lot throughout what I say and what I do and how I, one of the, a couple of the filters. So one of the things, I always say is we're in what you do. Like, I believe that I'm elevating the way we do life and business, right? And I identify with being a dreamer, which is like in the business world, it's like, you're a dreamer. What? That means you're doing nothing, right? For me, it's a dreamer with a difference, right? Because you dream big, but you play even bigger, right? Because you got to now do something. So to the new entrepreneur who has that idea and that dream, because it always starts with an idea and a dream, right? It's not a bad word. Let's own that. Okay. Mm-hmm. With that dream come, if you have this space around you, and that's really hard for new entrepreneurs to have that space around you to be able to breathe, because you're like, oh, I don't have this, and I don't have this, and I don't have this. And you're like playing that comparison game, because just like you said, all that hype around, hey, let me help you make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, that this quick short hack, let me just do this, right? I'm sorry, BS, right? Stop the comparison. Take a look at what your idea, what your dream is. Old is not all bad. You always take what's working from the old, but you also kind of bring in what's really working from the new as well. There is no threats either way. But to the new entrepreneur, hang tight to that dream and create that space around you. Challenge the old mindset that I have to wear all the hats. I have to do all of this because that's just how it is when you're starting the business. No. Ask yourself, like, oh my gosh, who is it? I think it was Dr. Barnard who said, he asked the question, it's impossible unless, put a question mark there, right?
Yes.
And now challenge that thought, because it will lead you to whether we believe it or not, whether we know it or own it or not, we already know so flipping much, and we can always gather what we don't, because if you're resourceful, you will. So believe in that dream, and believe that when you ask that question, that creativity, that resourcefulness inside of you will provide the answer, but give it that space too. And connect with like-minded people who will open up and introduce things and facilitate that journey, instead of thinking somebody might steal my idea, right? Sometimes people do, but it's your idea. There's nobody who can bring it to the market the way you can. So, and then there is that also that filter that when you have that state of being, my belief is you attract the people to you who will actually support you in that. Like, I would not hide my idea from Vickie. I know she's not going to steal it. And if she does, okay, awesome, let's collaborate. You know? So anyway, it's just like, don't be afraid of dreaming, but make sure you have that space around you to be able to create.
Wise, wise words from one of my favorite conscious business talks. Listen, if you want to know more about Amber Mirza, definitely join the Conscious Business Talks. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it on Facebook. She goes live every Thursday at 6:30. I am on it all the time, which is why I know when she goes live. And that's 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, 5:30 on the Pacific Coast, 8:30 on the East Coast. Amber, you know I love you. And listen, nobody gets off the show without listening to the music. You guys, I'll see you next Wednesday for the Coffee Break Show. Thank you for being here.